All right, now we are going to look at sequencing and programming this TB303 we have set up here. So to do that, let's just have a look at the phase sequencer. You've got different steps along the top, which you can select. And then you can, on each step, you can change the note and then go to the next step and change the note. You could change the octave on each step. Let's look at those two functions first. So I'm going to go into live. I'm going to launch my scene, but I'll also turn off the kick for now. Then in rack, let's have a look at that. So you can click on each step in our 16 note sequence, and I could hear that I must have accidentally pressed a note when I was stuffing around before. There it is. So that note is on C sharp at the moment. I'm going to return that one to C, so this will be the same as yours. What I want to start by doing is just changing different steps, different octaves on the steps, on each step. So here we'll run it. I'll turn this down as well so you can hear me talking a little bit better. Cool. And you can see the steps going along here. What we want to do is on this first step, change the octave. So you can see when it got to there, it goes down. Now if we go to the next step, that's back at the regular octave. Let's try moving the next step up an octave. There we go. And you can start to play around with changing some of the octaves. Just to get an idea about how changing different steps works. I'll stop live. Look where the sequence is now. It's on step 3. When I press play, the next step it will go to is here, step 4. To make it clear, I'll stop right in the middle. So we're there, and then when I launch live, it'll go from this next step. Hopefully you can see that. Now that's not always what you want. Usually when you start and stop, you want it to start from the start of the sequence. So that's what this reset button does. Notice when I clicked that, the lit step went back to the front. There's also an input for that. So what we can do is each time we get a start and stop or a start message from live, we can tell it to reset. So that's the one other connection we want to make, is take the start output from our MIDI module, which will get a message from live each time we hit spacebar, like that, and reset the starting point of the sequence. So now each time I start, it'll sound the same. Ready? Or maybe not. Maybe, no, that should be it. It's there. And here is the reason why we want to turn on sync. So I remember that in our intro video in preferences, I said, don't worry about turning on sync for the IAC driver output. That's because to time the clock, we didn't need it, but messages like start and stop come over that sync part of the MIDI message. So if we turn that on now with the start message connected to reset, it should reset the sequence each time we press start. Let's give that a try. Cool. Stop. There. And again. There we go. Fantastic. So to summarize, we need to connect the start output of our MIDI module to the reset in, but we also need to make sure that in live, preferences, MIDI, we have the start output of our MIDI module to the reset in, but we also need to make sure that in live, preferences, MIDI, we have the start output of our MIDI module to the reset in, but we also need to make sure that in live, preferences, MIDI, we have the start output of our MIDI module to the reset in, but we also need to make sure that in live, preferences, MIDI, we have the start output of our MIDI module to the reset in, but we also need to make sure that in live, preferences, MIDI, we have the start output of our MIDI module to the reset in, but we also need to make sure that in live, preferences, MIDI, we have the start output of our MIDI module to the reset in, but we also need to make sure that in live, preferences, MIDI, we have the start output of our MIDI module to the reset in, but we also need to make sure that in live, preferences, MIDI, we have the start output of our MIDI module to the reset in, but we also need to make sure that in live, preferences, MIDI, we have the ISC driver is set to sync on the out of the ISC driver. All right, so now that we can change the octaves, we can start to change some of the notes on here. So for instance, we can change, well, it starts in C. Let's just change that to a C sharp and see how that sounds. So playing, I'll change it to a C sharp. Cool. Let's go to another different note here. Change this to a G. I'm just kind of going randomly at this point. Great. So we can change the notes along with the octaves that are already changed there. So to clear that up, I could almost, now that I showed you how to do octaves, I could almost initialize this, and now it's gone back to all the octaves are the same, and I can just change some of the pitches. So here we go. Change the first one. Change this one to an E flat. Change this one to a G. This one to a cool. And then, of course, you could change the octaves on these. But to be honest, I kind of like what I had going before. So if I initialize it one more time, and I think what I had was just kind of like random octaves. You can do whatever you like, obviously. Great, and then combine that with some different notes. Cool. So we can change the octave, we can change the pitch. The next thing that's really, really common is to tie some notes. So if you want, for instance, the first note to be long, you would tie the second note. So I've clicked the second note here. Now if I tie it, and tie this one, now we start to get some rhythmic variation, which is cool. That one I might change the octave. I might change the note. Cool, so that's tying notes together to get extended rhythms. And then the last thing is to put some slides on some notes. So if I'll slide on this note, and let's see what it sounds like. Slide. Oh, I can't slide on that one because it's tied, but I'll slide on a non-tied note. There we go. And then this knob is how much slide you get. Slide on the first one. Slide on that. There we go. Then we put the kick back in. Oh, now that we've got our sequence, so sorry, having too much fun. But now we have talked about what these steps are. Well, selecting different steps, changing the note's octave, changing the note's pitch, and then tying some notes together and sliding some notes. So, and then you combine that with playing with even just the cutoff on the bass, and we get this. Turn the cutoff all the way down. Decay. video. One more. See you in the next one.